Welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. The journey of any entrepreneur begins with a decision, then writing down your vision, then the execution of that vision. It is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who understand how powerful your mind is and that you can truly create the life that you deserve. It does require a unique formula that includes belief in yourself, a lot of consistency, connecting with an OG, a lot of tears, missing out on a few events and things, and taking a whole lot of risks that will allow you to see your vision and dream come to pass. This journey of the entrepreneur is from the perspective of a wonderful mother, a business owner, whose goal is to break generational barriers and normalize the process of wealth building and financial wellness through entrepreneurship, all while creating a social and give back along the way. I am sharing this journey with you and invite you to share this process with me. Let's do this together. It's my own, but you have to feel comfortable to own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I will always support you.
Thank you.
Welcome to 11375. My name is Anita Pierce and I am your Chief Experience Officer. At 11375, we offer strategic alignment solutions specific to you and your business goals, and also connecting everything with social impact. So if you are looking for a really amazing organization where we help you to focus your strategy and connecting it with social impact, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are on all the social platforms, and you can contact us at 11375. Well, hello there, good people. Hey there. Hey there, good people. I hope that you are doing phenomenal, wonderful, well. I hope that you are taking care of yourself. And thank you for joining another episode of The Real Journey of Entrepreneurship, where we are engaging in all things that really talks about how you are, if you're interested, because you may not even be interested in growing and sustaining a business from the mindset of managing money, financial projecting what you can do. And the most important thing is building your vision and creating activities surrounding it. I'm super excited to have you join. My name is Anita Pierce, and I'm the host and producer of The Real Journey of Entrepreneurship. I am also the founder and CEO of 11375, a business consultancy that connects business resources to small businesses. We're actively engaging in providing resources, supporting, and also ensuring that you have the knowledge base. A lot of the resources that we connect small businesses to, our tax dollars already pay for it. So it's just a matter of connecting the dots and having you dig through the resources that you can help and grow and elevate your business. And another part of how we are engaging in this space is hosting phenomenal entrepreneurs and courageous entrepreneurs who are really digging deep into spaces that oftentimes we do not like to talk about, which is financial compliance and tax readiness. And today I get the good benefit of having who I consider a tax guru, a woman of many trades, and very deeply rooted in the space of helping small businesses stay compliant, financially organized, and also being deeply empowered within their business to do more and to create more. My guest today is Shaneque Downing, a founder and owner of Downie-solutions, a firm that is deeply dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and small businesses stay compliant, financially organized, and also become better in their spaces. Through her work, business compliance, and strategy advisory services, Shaneque's helped business owners not only stay out of trouble and also really understand the tax laws, but truly understand their numbers so they can grow in deep confidence. I had the good benefit of being connected to Shaneque as she and I shared 14 weeks as a member of Cohort 40 within the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. And I have to tell you, I was in awe and very, very inspired by all that we learned together within that space. But I also understood the value of being in compliance, but also learning deeply from my dear colleagues. So without further ado, I know you want to see more of me, but I'm not alone today. Shaneque, come to the table. Hey, hey,
Hi, Anita.
how
Thanks
are
for
you?
having.
How you doing?
Lovely, lovely. Today's good. Today's a good day. Happy to be here with you. And yes, Goldman Sachs was definitely a treat having you there as well.
You likewise. I wouldn't have known S if I wasn't for you. So yes, thank you. Now, Shaneque, do tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and what inspired you to really start on this journey in which we cross paths.
Okay. So, as the founder of Downie-solutions, it is also a business consultancy, but I advise and consult more from a tax and strategy standpoint. Um, I started as a bookkeeper many moons ago, and I just had like a small look of like what the business is, and then I saw businesses like I'm communicating with CPAs, and businesses fall into the same trap, like not managing their money properly, not being ready for tax season. And so over the last almost 20 years, I I've grown my skill set. So now I'm an enrolled agent, which means I'm federally licensed to represent taxpayers. Um, with tax issues, both federally and also with all 50 states. I also do tax strategy, so I get you ready before uh, April 15th. See, I don't even know when the tax deadline is because this is a 365-day thing for me. And of course, business compliance. So cash flow readiness, cash flow review, forecasting, and so on and so forth. So with my business consultancy, I keep client businesses ready. Both on a tax side as well as a compliance side.
So I'm curious, right? So you found a gap to fill, right? Why is the financial world, the tax prep, the IRS so intimidating for entrepreneurs? What is it about us that make us like, you know, afraid?
I think that's a good question. And I think the fear is in the unknown. Like a lot of people just don't know why we're paying taxes, what our taxes are being done. It's more like a buzzword. Like whenever we hear it, it's like there's a debate or we have to pay it or, but there is no one who's really educating and empowering business owners as to this is why you're paying taxes and this is how your taxes um lends itself to other things like getting a mortgage or just financial empowerment overall. So my goal is to just have everyone understand what it is to stay in front of it and so that it doesn't scare us. And knowledge is power is what my dad used to say. So the more we know, the more power we have and the more in control we can be of not just our tax but our financial picture overall.
All right, so that leads to a good follow-up question, right? So what does basic business compliance actually mean from a tax perspective, and why is it very essential and critical for us, and I'm saying us meaning me included in the process, to really understand early on in their
Well,
process?
Well, the IRS is the biggest bully, right? They're the biggest collection agency out there. They're the only ones that can go in and levy your bank accounts. They can I've had clients who came to me because they went to get their passport and they can't renew their passport. In New York State, they'll take your driver's license, And so being compliant, you're in front of all of those to begin with. So, or they can't just come in and take what is theirs because it really is theirs. Um, so that's the biggest part of it. But before we even get there, as grown business owners, we want funding. We want so many other things. And if you've ever applied for anything, most of the times they're asking for your financials. They're asking, what's your P&L? Because if you're not making money, I can't lend you money. Do you have any assets? So it goes into all of those things. Anita, you do work with the government. They want to know if you're even, just getting your MBE, they're asking for what's your profit and loss? What's your. So that's the first part of just like financial compliance. And then, like I said, on the tax side, it's like, you can't come in and take my stuff either.
So I sit in this space where a lot of the part of my business is working with small businesses to help them support them with strategies and government contracting. And from application, they're asking for financials, bank statements. Do you own the business? And most people stop the application because they do not have taxes or taxes prepared. But there are ways, I try to explain that there are ways you can buy time. Just like Shaneque said, there's things that we don't know about. How, I don't want to say loopholes, but there's ways to fix your situation, right? And similarly, in the space that I'm in, if you say that you're going to file your taxes, you can still put in your application, if that
Right.
makes sense. And similarly with Shaneque, she's, addressing some of the things that we just want to go, I don't want to deal with this, right? So some of the common tax mistakes, right, that you are, and before you even answer that, what is the difference between an EA versus a CPA?
CPAs are licensed by the state. So not most, all states give like a CPA exam. So you meet a CPA, they're a New York CPA or a New Jersey CPA. Enrolled agents were licensed by the IRS. So I literally went to the IRS and said, hey, I want to learn everything taxes. Also, CPAs, or EAs, we are only trained on tax strategies, tax compliance, tax resolution. And that's pretty much. And lastly, CPAs do audits. We do not do audits. So if you were to, and when I say audit, I mean audited financials, because I do
Right.
represent in front for audits, but we don't do audited financials.
But you
So
can. I know that you can. I know that you have the skill set to do it.
correct.
Most EAs may not, but I know that Shaneque does have that as a part of her overall experience. So I'm gonna do a deeper dive into that, because I only personally became aware what an enrolled agent was, and that there was a difference when we sat into class, right? So you pretty much have all of the ability to do what a CPA does, essentially.
Correct. And that's to a lot of experience. It started almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, and so you know your stuff, so it makes it a lot different. So I wanted to put that out there, and also, can you explain what a P&L? I'm trying to just to provide, like, what is a P&L? Like, what are some of the documents that are typical that, so as you're saying acronyms, just say what it is, because we're offering education, and I don't want to make assumptions that I know what a P&L now is, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So thanks for asking that, because I actually had a client just this morning told me that a company asked for their income statement. And so a P&L is just a list of your profits and your losses, and It's sometimes called an income statement or income and expense statement. Those are all the same thing, but the goal of the P&L is to list out your incoming revenues minus your expenses, and then we'll know whether your business is profitable, i.e., a net profit, or working at a loss, operating at a loss, so your net loss. Then you have the balance sheet, which is a list of your assets and liabilities, money you have, money you owe, credit cards, and the difference of that is your equity, how much your business is really worth. Um, and then the other statement, which a lot of people don't do, is your cash flow statement. I personally just say it's how we reconcile the P&L with the balance sheet, but it just shows you know, what your real cash flow is, because your P&L minus your credit card liabilities doesn't, it just brings those two statements together.
Right. There you have it. So I don't have to explain. You get the expert, or you can Google it, or nowadays people use TikTok for information. But why not just get it from the expert, those explanations? So thank you for that. I wanted to follow up with some of the common mistakes that are typical when we're either just getting started, or in my case, I will share, my books was horrifying at one point. And now, how do we avoid them, or what can we do to try to minimize the mistakes that we make?
Well, I think the first thing we need to do is separate business and personal. Once you start running a business, get a separate bank account, get a separate credit card. So don't be going to the nail salon with your business account. That will help tremendously in clearing up the picture and reducing what we call commingling. The second thing is, I'm hesitant in saying get an accounting software, because they usually pull in those expenses from the bank and help to separate them, but the setting up of that software is very important. So that's why I'm hesitant, because the software helps, but GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. If you don't set it up properly, you're gonna get not the best information out there. Thirdly, I say consult with me or a CPA. Like, a lot of it can be done by hand or by you. You don't need an accounting degree to run your business. I mean, that's why you're in business, because you're a visionary. However, it helps to just have some guidance going in, and have conversations with your tax preparers. I know that we have a bad reputation of being introverts and not the best communicators. Not me, but they talk at you. We talk at you sometimes. We talk over your head. It can be a little intimidating. I say, if you can't talk to your tax person, then you shouldn't pay them either. So find you someone who, yeah. I have this philosophy. Don't use it with me though, but it's like, if I pay you, I own you. But if you can't talk to your tax person, and when I say talk to them, I really mean have a conversation. It's a dialogue, right? And they speak to you and you understand what they're saying, then they're probably not the best fit for you. So get in there. That the only way to, like I said, to be empowered by the information is to understand the information, and then you can do what you need to do with that information.
Very true. So you're not just talking to your tax and your financial partner. I think that's how I would look at it. It's more of like a financial partnership. At April 15th, which is, for personal taxes, but for your business taxes, if you have an LLC, there are specific timeframes that you should be having a conversation. And what I did learn, and what I was doing, because I was guilty of it, was only talking to my financial person once a year, right? And there were things that I missed, a lot of things that I missed. But once I got it fixed, it became more of an accountability for me, not to just have that transition over and responsibility over to someone else. So, what are the different patterns within the space of the entrepreneurs that you work with, that you coach, that you find, for those who are financially thriving versus those who struggle? Is there some sort of commonalities that you have discovered?
Yeah, I definitely think knowledge is the differentiating factor, right? I have clients who come in and they've never seen their P&L, they've never seen their balance sheet. Their answers to everything is my accountant handles that, right? Notorious BIG. But
Right.
you need to know it. Like I always say, what happens if I fall out the sky, right? How do you bring that information? Like, where's the continuity? You're the common denominator, so you need to know what's going on so you can take that information. So I definitely, once I clean up a client's books, like once they're onboarded, I try to have a conversation with them to go over what was said, what was done, get them to understand everything. And then after some time, most of my clients, the ones that, the good ones, no, the ones that have become, they become comfortable with the information, then the conversations become easy and they become more involved in their financials, not just the business. Then I have clients who go into like a CFO level partnership with me, where now we're talking about forecasting, now we're talking about building the business. Now we are, it's November, but we're already after tax season. They already know what their tax bill is going to be next year or what they need to do to mitigate those taxes. So it's definitely knowledge of your business, but also knowledge of your finances, that I think is the main differentiating factor with clients that are financially empowered.
And so that's a really good segue to, I guess, as someone is thinking about really growing their business, what habits should be included in the business owner's business cadence, I will say?
Review, and you got to be, and we're talking about reviewing your, back to compliance, we're talking about reviewing the business, the sales, the, not just the finances, but even your staff. Like, we need to know, is the person sitting in that seat the best person to be in that seat? Do they need to be replaced? We need to review our clients. I've let a few clients go because they're not a right fit. And so then becomes the money part of it. Am I spending money where it doesn't need to be? I just went over my credit cards and I found a trial I did 6 months ago that I was still paying for. Yes, I'm guilty of it too. But that's why those regular reviewing of all of your resources are so important. And then once you have a hold on what you have going on, then we can go into forecasting. Okay, so I didn't realize I was spending an extra $20 a month. So next month I have another $20. Where can I use that best? Is it saving it or is it just investing it somewhere else? So definitely go back and look at your stuff so that you can be aware of what is going on, so you know what you have in order to scale.
All right. So I'm gonna put in the funnies, right? The funny questions that typically come up with businesses, right? So if I continuously show a loss within my business, can I go and ask a financial institution for money?
Um, you want to say no, but here's the thing. Why are you showing a loss, right? Is it that you have a cash flow issue, or is it because you just don't know what you're doing with your business? Because there are some industries where a financial institution will give you money because your loss could be because of, do you have balance sheet assets that you're depreciating, or is it just that you need money to take you from month 3 to month 4 yearly? You know what I mean? So the loss could be a timing issue. So the answer is yes. We could look at an accrual accounting P&L. So it depends. It definitely depends. But the short answer is yes. But as long as you know why you're showing a loss.
All right. So I can't. So on the personal side, because you do personal taxes as
I
well.
do.
So, some of the things that often come up is shortchanging the amount of um, it's what is it, beneficiaries, not beneficiaries on your taxes, or overclaiming. Um, why is that a play that most people learn, but on the back end it causes such harm going forward?
So this, oh my gosh, I'm gonna sound so geeky, but this was like something that people did more often prior to like the TCJA in 2017, because every dependent you had, they I think you got like an extra $4,000 in deduction. But since over the last 8 years, I think it's capped at 3,000. There's no extra deduction, but you get like a $2,000 credit per person.
Mhm.
So that's the part where people mess up, because they think, oh, the more dependents I have, the bigger. But no, there's a cap to it. It's literally like free. And there's even more nuances to it, because that's not all refundable either.
Mhm.
So it's just something that we learned, but it was bad learning, basically. But you do get a credit, and a credit is, hey, if you here's $2,000. Don't quote me. I think the number changes here. Um, and even if you if you owe taxes, or if you're already getting a refund, that money is refundable.
Mhm. Very good to know. So, switching a bit from, because you run a service-based business, how do you build trust and maintain relationships with your clients?
Oh, customer service is definitely important, right? Um, I'm implementing both a team and some automations. Like, you want that touch base with your clients all the time. So, a lot of clients like to reach out to you and know that they're going to get a response. But sometimes too, it's just like that client nurturing, where it's like, hey, send you an email or a newsletter or something. But a lot of trust in my industry happens with the customer service, because I've heard horror stories. Should I probably was guilty of ghosting a client too. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so, I mean, if you have an accountant that you haven't heard from in 3 weeks, what do you think?
Mm.
Right? So it's definitely, you want to keep um that line of communication open.
And what about the systems? Because you said that you were automating or have automations within your practice. Why is that important for small businesses to have some sort of systems of practice to keep themselves, I guess, organized? And maybe, what are your thoughts?
Well, one of the things I experience with automation is consistency. So if I have an email that sends out, I'm sorry, a system that sends out an email, it's the same email every time, right? It's asking for the same thing. Back in the day when I was doing it manually, it's like, oh, I missed one thing here, I missed one thing there. So it's to keep consistency. And then with automations, you can set it up to go out at a certain time. So it's like, okay, if your flight is delayed, Google or whomever is still sending out that email. Um and it's also just to lessen your load. Like, sometimes we can't duplicate ourselves, but systems help giving us back some of our time.
Very true. Could you share, or would you share, along those lines, about some of the lessons that you have learned thus far, either from your clients or from just in general being in this space of entrepreneurship? I say is beautiful because you are creating a vision, but it does have its challenging. Could you share about some of your challenges and also some beautiful stories that you may have had, like a client success win through this process?
Yeah. So I think what I love the most about my business is that every business is different. Like, I specialize with contractors, and I work a lot with entertainers. And I literally have two contractors in New York City who are both MWBE, who gets government contracts, but it's two separately different business, right? And I love that. Like, I don't like seeing the same picture every day, right?
Mm.
And so working with entrepreneurs, I get to learn so much about the people, about the businesses, about so many things. And I like that, no two journeys are alike. And that's why I started coaching, because it was like, initially it was like, oh, just set up this system and plug and play your clients. that was a little boring for me too. So I have this one client who went from $1 million revenue with like maybe a couple of $100,000 loss in 22, and now he's grossing $5-6 million a year. And he's so funny because he's what we would call a street dude. And so he went from like paper invoices to like, oh no, QuickBooks will send out my invoice, and if QuickBooks doesn't have it, he's very much he's more on top of it than I am. And I love that kind of growth in my clients. Like, I don't want to just be telling you, dictating to you all the time. Come over here and teach me something too. So, and I truly believe that is just the power, or the an example of being empowered. Like, he went from I don't want to see it to I need to see it. I need to be on top of it. You know what I mean? I'll call the bank myself. Shoot, he'll call me and be like, yo, this is wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take a look. But like you mentioned earlier, with my clients, it's a true partnership. It's not just me telling you what it is and you just sucking it up. I mean, you're writing me a check at the end of the day. So you need to be as involved and be as comfortable with the whole process as I am.
And so even with the level of comfortability, I want to lean back into the importance of what you were stressing earlier about education.
Mm-hmm.
Where can we really become educated? Is it just through your services, or are there any resources that you yourself utilize to help to become better? Because I find, even personally, that, as an example, the application for MWBEs or doing documentation to begin a business or nonprofits, people get afraid of the administrative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And because we see this repetitively in our work, it's like once you get over it,
It's intimidating.
It's no longer intimidating. You're like, oh, I should have did this a long time ago. But even from your space, from your perspective, like, how do you kind of coerce us to say, okay, well, maybe read a book or come to my webinar, or like, what does that hand holding look like for you?
Right. But by the way, I will say, Anita, you did exactly that for me with the MWBE. You called me a couple of times and you're like, just do it.
Yeah.
and and after it was done, it was like, okay. So so you're definitely right about that. Sometimes we're more afraid of the process than it needs to be. And again, it's the confidence, right? And you get confidence from knowledge. We've had this conversation before where mentorship is important, you know what I mean? And sometimes because we haven't done it, we need to partner with someone who's done it before, who can say, okay, it really isn't that scary. I feel like educating yourself, being more knowledgeable, let's say knowledgeable, not education, is so important. So whether it's a mentor, whether it's a podcast, whether it's, like you mentioned, YouTube and TikTok, however you get it, like, take it. I'm very big on mindset. So I'm always reading books and learning different ways to look at stuff. I do a lot of podcasts, and sometimes they're like 5-minute podcasts or little snippets. And I work out. Like, I do like a lot of self-care. Like, I take an hour in the morning where it's just my hour, and that hour is me walking, or drinking a juice or something like that, but definitely give myself that time to refresh and re-energize.
All right. So is it okay that I share your website so we can do a deeper dive into your services? Because you mentioned that you offer, once we become mature and grown up in this space, that you offer CFO services. So what does that look like for a client to come and experience you? A beautiful picture, by the way.
Thank you.
And what does that look like for you?
So with my business advisory services, I actually have the tax advantage partnership, so I can share that with you afterwards, Anita. but I have just the basics. So with freelancers and entrepreneurs or small businesses, just startups, it's just like, okay, I need to get my books in order. And then from there we grow to, okay, how do we forecast what's next? And that's where the coaching comes in. So I know we call it CFO services, but it's way bigger than just the financials. It's also how do we run our business? How do we scale efficiently? I can help you analyze your resources. Do you have the right team in place? And what else is out there? And I could even throw you some guidance on where to get that continued education, the industry specific classes that we might need to take. So with that, it's more of a partnership than just CFO level services.
At the time of this recording, we are in I'm gonna say December, November 2025, and we are in the fourth quarter of the year. Most of us should have been or should be preparing for what's to come. What advice do you offer for those who haven't gotten started? When is the most practical time to get started to end, as was on your website, the headaches that we typically get for taxes during tax season? Because tax season, I agree. Now I know that it's not just year end
Right.
or mid year, that it's a process that if you are really interested in growing your business, that you should be reviewing this at least once a month or a quarter, to get ahead of what it is that you're looking to build within this space. So what are your recommendations? How do we reduce the headache?
Right now, and I'm doing this with my clients right now, it's like I need all the books up to date for the year. So we know, are we looking at a profit? Are we looking at a loss? And if you're looking at a profit, we could deduce or we could estimate what your tax liability is. We want to do some estimated taxes. The IRS does have a late payment penalty as well as an underpayment penalty, meaning if you don't pay your taxes, your estimated taxes, they'll penalize you for that. One of the more important ones too is W-2 and 1099s. Yes, they're due January 31st, but now is when I send out notices to my clients like, these are who you're going to have to give a 1099 to. Can we make sure we have all of their information? I don't know if you've been through the January rush of, hey, I need your 1090, your W-9s, and then they never respond to you. The IRS doesn't do it a lot, but there is a penalty for not issuing 1099s as well. And you do it with your vendors too. Make sure that your 10 and your W-9s are out so that 1099s can come in. With technology, a lot of this comes in electronically, which helps us, but we just need the information beforehand. And get a tax planning session. And this is where, again, you get a professional to look at your books, look at your everything and say, this is what you're up against or it could be up against, and maybe even suggest some ways to mitigate that tax liability before the end of the year. And you might want to select a tax professional now, like trying to get somebody. If you call me after February 15, I'm like, okay, it's an automatic extension. So find somebody who can give you guidance on what the things are that you're looking forward to and what you can be doing right now.
And can I do a follow up with that? Right. So even although with there you issue or you file an extension for the client, what does that process? Because I know that I usually say from January to like after like was it April, May, like May, that the accounting professionals are tapped, right? But right, if we have an extension that has been filed, does it mean that we should stop producing or providing information to our partner to ensure that they meet the additional deadline that has been established? What are your thoughts about that? Do you find that clients stop or they just wait, or
they definitely do stop, and that's a good point. Like business doesn't stop, and so I think we just all need to get in the mindset of business doesn't stop, finances doesn't stop, taxes doesn't stop, right? An extension is literally buying you time to file. Like as I mentioned earlier, there's a late payment penalty, there's an underpayment penalty, there's a late filing penalty. An extension only mitigate one of those things, which is the late filing penalty. So even after you've filed an extension, if you are going to owe at the end of this, you still, the sooner you get it done, the better it is, especially if you haven't made a payment.
Yeah, I was kicking and screaming. Yeah, but those are my lessons, right? And I can definitely share that it was a pressure point because I was not properly taught, right? So there are things that I'm really, really good at, but I'm learning to get better. But I don't need to know everything. Shaneque taught me this, right? And I remember we were in conversation, and she was like, well, this is the analogy, not the exact words, but if you need surgery, are you going to perform surgery on yourself, or are you going to hire or go to a doctor to get it done? It's the same analogy that and I always remember that, like, in things that I'm like, I really want to outsource this, but I know I need to, but I don't. I may be resisting because of whatever learnings that I did not have, right?
Right.
And so I always, am reminded that you don't need to know everything. In fact, it's not our responsibility, but to be reminding our own business, right? And taking care of the things that we're purposed to do. And if we need an assist, tag Shaneque for it. Like that's not a thing. Like I'm not gonna sit here. I know basics, right? I know there's things that I know I need to be projecting. I'm much better now, right? But overall, hire somebody to do it, right? Right, Shaneque?
Yes. Yes. I think the analogy was you don't go to the doctor after you feel better, right? Right. So, and I have to remind myself of that a lot of times. So, like, thank you for bringing that up, Anita, because we don't have to be intimidated. Again, if your accountant makes you feel stupid, they're not the right fit for you, right? Uh, it's same with the doctor. If the doctor is just like, well, go sleep it off, they might not be the right doctor for you. So, and I know with everything else going on, it's like, I don't want to interview 10 doctors, but at the same time, or 10 accountants, that might be exactly what you need to do to have that lifelong partnership. Because I'm happy you call it a partnership, Anita, because it's not just somebody I'm paying money to file my taxes on April 15th. It's like we need a partnership because we are business owners. We are not just, side hustlers anymore. And so that, that legal team, that admin assistant, that payroll person, those are all a part of what you need to grow. And if you have good people in those seats where you can carry on with minding the business that minds you, then that is definitely a part of the formula for scale.
So I know we want to stick together for the remainder of the day, but I know that you have business to take care, and I know I do, because I got a boss that be still micromanaging me, right? Still, yeah, she be micromanaging me. So for business owners listening right now, could you provide them with 3 immediate steps that they can take to become more compliant or financially and mentally organized within this space?
Review. I need you to pull all your books, all your bank accounts, all your everything, and just look at it and have an honest conversation with yourself. So whatever you need to do to prepare that space. And if you're not an accounting professional, find you an accounting professional that will partner with you. And again, we partner at different levels. Some people need an overall hand holding, like I call it DIY, DWY, or DFY. Have that conversation with yourself and then decide what level of support you need. And then also for the organized part, I call it a funding ready checklist that is literally just a list of all the things you need. Think of like whether it's your MWBE or a bank account or a bank loan that you're applying for. Like you need to have a folder digitally where all of these things are. what's my EIN, what's the name of my business, the founding date, um, all the things that all of these people ask you for. I feel like if everyone has a funding ready checklist, that makes their life so much easier. And even better is once I got an assistant, I shared this checklist with them. So now they're filling out so many things on my behalf. So I think those three things will, definitely help you getting on the path to compliance and financial empowerment.
And it's a checklist because a lot of even grants, it's repetitive information. Like you will be surprised how much of the requests or the administrative woes is repetitive information that we already should have within our files. And to Shaneque's point, once you get past that and you become more confident in those spaces, it's going to be like what I call like popcorn. You get an email, I can fill it out. Yay, let me pull down my digital file. It's not anything that will no longer cause you, may cause you some frustration as you're growing your business, because as you go into different seasons of your business and arrival on different levels, things shift, things that you are unaware of. And that is the importance of having a financial partner that can help you and to guide you through those different spaces. So, Shaneque, where can we find you? How can one connect? I have your information scrolling. For those who are going to be listening, where can we find you, Shaneque?
My website, Downie-solutions.com, DOWNIESOLUTIONS.com. I'm also on Instagram, Downie_solutions, and on LinkedIn, Shaneque Downie.
And friends, this is my friend. Make sure you book her. Um, I've had some really enlightening opportunities and have had shared space. But I can tell you that when you have someone who's willing to educate you, it looks a whole lot different than just a transaction of, you know, exchange, just not transactional. So, Shaneque, we're at the end, but I'm not going to let you go as of yet. I got a question for you.
Okay.
What's your favorite borough?
Brooklyn.
We're back, Brooklyn. We are back. We are back. We are back. Thank you. We are back.
You're welcome. Thanks, Anita.
Shaneque, thank you so much. For those again, please reach out to Shaneque via her website, Instagram, or on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for joining. I look forward to seeing you again, hopefully in person soon.
Yes.
All right. Take good care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, friends. All right, friends. Right. So you see the hand holding that I've gotten. I've had the good benefit of having to shared space. And I can tell you that Shaneque is an awesome being. So if you're looking to connect with some of her resources, please do not hesitate to reach out to Shaneque on Downie-solutions.com, on Instagram, and also on LinkedIn. And don't be spamming people, because I know that, I don't know, for some reason, do business, not spam, right? I'll just leave that there. But I also wanted to share that within our space, we have a few upcoming workshops and events that we hold virtually. So if you are interested, we are running a series of workshops up until January that are supporting entrepreneurs with tools, strategies, and resources to grow, scale, and succeed within your business. For this month, we have one that's coming up this week. We're going to be talking about developing a growth mindset. And then we have some more that are going to be coming up. And all of these are snack bites that you can tap in, tap out, build virtual community that, will transition if you do follow up in person as well. We also are going to have a phenomenal event. We're actually going to be doing more with the Health, Wellness, and Finances Summit. This one is going to be held on November the 30th. But by the time we air this, it'll probably have passed. But I do want to have shared this, that we are going to be doing more of the Health and Wellness and Finance Summit, where we're going to be working with other businesses within various communities to do pop-ups and to share business solutions and resources within each community. And also, I'm not going to hesitate, because I'm always looking for individuals who are willing to share their journey, their information, their joy, how they're visioning within their business on the real journey of entrepreneurship. So if you are brave, and if you love and like what we're doing, please do not hesitate to connect with us. I'm also going to share, you can RSVP or register at the Real Journey of Entrepreneurship, because we're always looking for you. So you can check us out there in that specific space. So I'm always excited to share resources, and I learned so much from our guests today. And so I wanted to have you know that this is always an opportunity in a community where we are consistently exchanging resources, right? So we are in business, we're all trying to figure it out. But the truth is, we all want people to win and grow. So, on that note, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Please do not forget to like, share, and follow us on 11375. We are on the platforms, Instagram, TikTok. You can follow us on LinkedIn as well, all under the brand of 11375. So, dear friends, I want to thank you all for joining. Until next time, bye bye. This week, I've been thinking about the importance of social impact and what that looks like specifically for the 11375 family. Social impact for 11375 is not just something that we don't do. It's embedded in our DNA. It's a part of our business model. We think and believe that it's really important to combine the art of making money and also being able to connect those specific resources to communities or things that elevate and provide good for the greater good. So for us, it is important that for the success of each project that we include social impact.
Welcome to our fourth annual Full Circle Business Project.
This room is small enough but big enough that you can connect with someone. And that is the intention of the Full Circle Business Brunch experience. Being in business is not a competition. We all can win at all levels.
We come from a lot of poverty. How do you break out of a scarcity mindset as a small business?
If you keep it positive, positive will always keep you. The idea that I'm always broke, I never have enough money. You can easily say, I don't have enough money yet. And that changes how you then move forward with your next financial decision.
I'm here to help educate you all on things that you may not have known about, because we find that there's a lot of suffering that goes on when people don't know about stuff.
When you're entering into a business relationship, it's still a relationship. So you want to maintain a good rapport with whoever it is that you're transacting with. You're hiring an attorney to not only protect you, but to also be the bad guy in certain situations.
We can help you connect to people who are looking for jobs. We have 200,000 people in our job bank. We're here to help the businesses out there. We're doing really the heavy lifting in our economy.
This is my fourth time attending this event. Each year it gets better and better. And it's really inspiring to see what she's doing for the community and working with the youth.
Why I wanted to start my business is because my mom was working too hard, right? I want to have my own business, my own clothing to wear on the street.
This is an amazing, amazing event with lots of knowledge for business owners, business starters, and just who's thinking about getting in the industry. Hope this continues to be an annual event for those who want to learn more about business and get into the business space.
Thank you for being a part of this transformational experience.
A brighter day tomorrow will bring.